Hi, I'm Christina and welcome to my channel, ChriskaYoga. In today's video, this one is for the yoga teachers. I've been teaching yoga since 2014. I'm a registered yoga teacher now at the 500-hour level. I got my first yoga teacher training back in March of 2014. I wish that somebody was there to guide me at the beginning. There are a lot of things that I learned over the past 3+ years that I've been teaching yoga, and I thought I would share them with you. How to get started if you're new, how to establish yourself as an authority, because if you have taken a real solid 200-hour yoga teacher training where your teachers and mentors were knowledgeable, then now you are an authority on yoga and you should establish yourself as such. I know after coming out of my first 200-hour yoga teacher training, I knew so much. I had learned so much. It was a life-changing experience for me, but I still felt small. I still felt like I was in the shadows of my mentors who had been practicing yoga for years and years. They had been practicing yoga for basically my entire lifetime and then some, so I felt very intimidated, like I was still a student and not a teacher. But it's important that you start thinking of yourself as an authority on yoga, and you have the knowledge now in order to teach people who do not know anything about yoga and who want to learn more. You have the power now, and I would like to help you to get started with these tips. Before we get started with these tips for new yoga teachers, if you aren't yet subscribed to this channel, if you want to practice yoga with me, even though you're a teacher, I still practice with other teachers as well. So if you want to practice yoga with me, I post 2 free yoga classes on this YouTube channel every single week. It is completely free to subscribe, and I would love to have you as a subscriber, as a part of this growing community. There are also yoga teachers in this community as well, and I definitely recommend joining us because they are a bunch of awesome people, so I would love to have you as well. So let's get into these tips. Number 1, don't be afraid to put yourself out there. As an introvert myself, I was definitely afraid to put myself out there at first. As I said before, I still felt like a small student who didn't know anything, when in reality you went through 200 hours of training and you do know things. So it's time to establish yourself and be confident in your knowledge, and don't be afraid to put yourself out there. So don't be afraid to contact studios, actually going to yoga studios. I had a friend in my 200-hour training who owned a yoga studio, and she basically said so many people contact the studio, but they never actually come in, take a class, get to know us. And I think establishing a relationship at a yoga studio is important in order to get your foot into the door and really be able to eventually teach there. You're probably, if you live in a big city, you're probably going to have to get on the sub list first for a lot of studios, which can be challenging as well. You have to go through a lot of auditions, but if there's a will, there's a way, and you really can't be afraid to put in the work and put yourself out there in order to actually get the jobs that you want as a yoga teacher. The number 2 tip I'm going to share with you is teach your friends. So when I first started, I was practicing. I gave my mom some private lessons. I gave my boyfriend at the time some private lessons. I taught my mom's friends. I taught my friends. I just taught whoever I could, whenever I could, and I wanted to practice my teaching voice, my teaching presence. If you don't practice, you will lose it. Teaching itself is something that is a skill. I personally think that I have definitely developed my teaching skill because I taught dance before I taught yoga, and I am a lifelong student. I have years and years of school under my belt, college, grad school, so I have been in an academic teaching environment for quite some time. So I think that establishing your teaching skill is important. You need to practice to whoever is willing to let you practice on them. And if they're nice enough, they might give you some feedback as well. Always, constructive feedback is always good, negativity is not so good. So be careful with who you teach. Make sure that they're supportive. But yeah, finding people to practice teaching on is always important to do. That brings me to my next tip, which is super important for you to be safe. So get yourself some insurance. Get yourself some teaching insurance. If you register yourself with the Yoga Alliance, you should definitely be able to get a discount on teaching insurance. They have specific insurance for yoga teachers if you aren't familiar, and it's just the safe thing to do. God forbid somebody gets injured and it's not even your fault, it's just maybe they were careless, they didn't listen to your instructions, or they slipped on the studio, which has nothing to do with you. You don't want to get caught in a legal situation without having insurance. So that's one of the very first things that you should be doing when you start teaching people. The next tip I'm going to share with you is donation-based classes and free classes. Start out by giving your classes away for free. This goes along the lines with teaching your friends, teaching your family yoga in order to practice. But in order to establish yourself as a teacher, you need to actually teach classes. You let them try them out for free. And if they like them, if they like your teaching style, then you can definitely establish your personal yoga community and they'll keep coming back to you for more classes. And if you want to start charging, if they actually like your classes, you can start charging them and making a living from doing the work, which is super important. You definitely are putting in a lot of work as a yoga teacher, so it is important to feel comfortable charging for your work as well, which is another obstacle that a lot of teachers, yoga teachers and fitness teachers go through, because they feel guilty with asking people for money in exchange for the service of teaching. This is a mindset that you need to let go of and assure yourself that people are willing to pay for your work, and this is super important. However, at the beginning, it's always great to give people a free try at first so that they start to get to know you, get to know your style, and start to love your style and come back for more. Another great thing is donation-based classes. Accept whatever donation people want to give you. I started doing this when I first started teaching yoga. I was teaching at a fitness studio, and then I also was holding my own donation-based classes. It was a very small group. I had maybe 2 to 3 people in the class, and that was great. And they would donate to me, and it didn't make a living, but it definitely established my relationship with them and establishing myself even further as a yoga teacher and an authority on yoga. The next portion of the tips is establishing your presence online. Creating an online portfolio for yourself. So number one, first and foremost, it is very important to get a website. I suggest this to not only yoga teachers, but choreographers or anyone who is in business for themselves. Even if you're working for a studio as a yoga teacher, you're still in business for yourself. You might want to teach at other studios as well. Having a website is your online reference. So something that you can put on a business card if you meet somebody and you say, hey, you can look at my website, see which classes I'm teaching, if you're teaching, or learn more about me. You can have a very simple website, 1 to 2 pages, just where they can contact you if you have any social media links, more about you, some photos of yourself, which is another side point. Definitely take some photos of yourself. It's important for a website, for any kind of online portfolio that I'm going to be discussing. You don't even have to have a paid website. There are tons of platforms that host websites for free. Wix is one of them. So if you have limited funds in order to host your website, you can do it for free. It's just important to have one. Another great way to establish your authority, put yourself out there, and have an online portfolio of your teaching is YouTube. So teaching yoga online on YouTube is something that I started doing in order to showcase my teaching style. I had been teaching yoga for a few months when I first started the channel, and I realized I wanted to branch out to more studios and I wanted to have sort of a video representation of my teachings. So I created the yoga YouTube channel as a way to show people how I teach, show other yoga studios my teaching style. What I didn't know, and what YouTube is also excellent for, is reaching yoga students. A lot of students are on YouTube looking for yoga classes. And this brings me into my final tip, which is social media. Yoga is huge on Instagram. There are tons and tons of yoga teachers on Instagram, Facebook. Having those pages, having those things where your students can follow you and where people can find you are super important. Even if it's just focusing on one or two things. So if you want to focus on YouTube and Instagram, awesome. If you want to focus on Facebook and Instagram, that's a great way to start too. It's up to you, but I highly recommend doing it. So get that social media page specifically for your yoga. And you can start out by inviting your friends to follow you. And then if done the right way, you will start to reach other people. So people that don't know you, that aren't your friends and family, that are just interested in your yoga teaching. Thank you so much for watching. I really hope you found this video helpful. I hope that it helps you to really get yourself out there and share more yoga with more people. The world needs yoga teachers. I think it's awesome that you took the time out of your life, spent the money on a yoga teacher training, and learned more about yoga and how to share yoga with more people. It is super important. I really appreciate the fact that we have this shared interest of yoga, and I hope you found this video helpful in furthering your career as a yoga teacher. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you liked it, if you found it helpful, give it a thumbs up. Leave any questions or comments you might have in the comment section below the video. And don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Get 2 free yoga classes that you can do at home every single week. For even more yoga resources from me, helpful yoga tips, advice, an example of a yoga website, head on over to ChriskaYoga.com. And don't forget to follow me over on Instagram as well, at ChriskaYoga, for daily yoga inspiration, motivation, behind the scenes of this yoga channel, and so much more. All of the links are listed in the description box below. Thank you so much. See you next time.